It's Slayer right here on your Classic Metal Show with Show No Mercy. And we want to thank our good friend Eric Braverman for checking in with us and bringing us unique entertainment as always.
Well, to say the least, Eric definitely had a lot of energy tonight, no?
Yeah. He's always got a lot of energy.
Oh, the guy is he's the Energizer Bunny. Just plug him in and boom, he's going.
Right. Well, the thing is he did his homework and he came up with a top 10 subjects to talk about.
Yeah. No, it was good. A lot of good stuff there.
Excellent.
And I'm like I said, I do watch it every once in a while. I just wish it was on the Roku. If he's going to get me the information, I'm going to make a channel.
Well, there you go. I mean, I would watch it, if it was more accessible with what the current setup that I have.
Yeah, me too. And, dude, I listen to the CMS radio network every day during the week, I would say at least 3 days during the week on my TV.
Right.
I just turn it on the Roku channel and let it go.
And there it is.
Mm-hmm. So it's not hard. And I built that channel in a day?
Yeah, in a day.
Yeah, it didn't take very long.
Sure.
And I mean, to make something as simple as press play and it hits an IP address and displays it shouldn't be that hard.
It works.
Yeah, it should be easy.
Excellent. All right, dude. Well, since we're kind of like shooting the shit here and talking, why don't you give us an update on your book?
Okay. My book is officially done, first of all, It is it's got a title. The title is Little Victories, A Tale of Divorce, Debauchery, and Finding Happiness. Doesn't that sound like me?
Little Victories, A Tale of Divorce, Debauchery, and Finding Happiness.
Yeah, that sounds like me, doesn't it?
Wow.
It doesn't sound like the Chris-Akin that comes and does the radio show, now does it?
Now is this going to be excuse me. Is this going to be the title that's acceptable with the publisher, or are you still with the publisher?
I have left Simon & Schuster.
Okay.
Over the title and over the cover. They didn't like my cover. They didn't like my title. So, they kind of gave me they gave me an ultimatum. They said, you can either take this title or find a new title, or we'll find one for you. And same with the book cover. And I said, no, there's a third option on the table, and I'm going to take that. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to put out myself.
Now, since, their editors worked with you through a good portion of the book, do you owe them anything?
I do not, because we had a development agreement and a proposed deal. And basically, by me walking away, I just walked away from signing the proposed deal. So we did not have a contract for a development deal as much as we had a development agreement.
Okay.
So, it was more of a handshake type thing, and they were in. And long story short, no, I do not owe them anything.
And can you reveal what their problem was with the title of the book?
Let me explain the book a little bit, because people are going to probably be a little surprised about the book itself. The book is not like heavy metal Chris being all fucking heavy metal. The book is much more, it deals with going through the divorce and the fucking weird emotions and bad emotions that people go through, that I went through for a year, and figuring it all out and working through it. And, my dad also died during that year. So I had a lot of emotional bullshit going on in my world. And, I wrote about this stuff long and hard. So that's what it is. It's not exactly the happy time book of the decade, to say the least. But their thoughts, the publisher's thoughts, were that this thing was going to be kind of like a self-help type of a book, where people could read it and they could take a message from it and, or use something that I did to hopefully get them through something or whatever. And so they didn't like the fact that my cover concept was dark and that my title talked about, basically debauchery, about, fucking and drinking, which there's a lot of that in the book.
Okay.
That's what was going on.
All right. Now, why did the publisher believe that you were in a position to give advice to people in the same position as you when you were actually going through it?
I don't know that they did as much as they just liked. I think what they liked most was that it's pretty wide open, very raw, not caving it, not hiding behind a machismo stereotype that a lot of people do. I mean, you know how I've been the last year. There's the radio side, and then there's fucking me, being a mess for a lot of months. And, they liked the fact that I was able to, I can write pretty well, and I wrote a pretty good story, and I was honest. And I think they just thought that it was very relatable to people. People could read it, and they could feel the emotions that were written about in the book. That's a guess. I don't know for sure, but they must have liked something.
Well, but then they're kind of being hypocritical by, to use an old cliche, they were thinking that people were going to be judging the book by the cover.
Well, of course. I mean, dude, they say you don't hear book publishers saying don't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
You hear school teachers saying that. They definitely want you to judge their book by the cover and buy it, and they don't give a shit if it fucking is what you thought it was or not. In reality, dude, it's the same as like movies. How many times you pick up a movie because it's got a hot chick on the cover and you watch the movie and there's no hot chicks in the movie? That happens a lot.
That is true.
That's kind of the way the business works. So, but yeah, so, they wanted something a little happier. They wanted a lot brighter of a cover. They wanted a lot brighter of a title. I wasn't having it. Now,
did they tell you what the cover they had in mind should look like, or they just didn't like your concept?
They didn't like my concept. I refused to talk about another cover. So, I was willing to work on a lot of different things. I worked with them on the editing, for one thing. And, as you're well aware, I wrote another book 20 years ago that never got published. Same sort of reason. But I was much more stern about I wasn't changing a word. This time I was much more willing to work with the editing process. But it took me 6 months to find a cover and a title that I liked. I had this list of like 300 titles that I wrote down, trying to find one that I liked. When I finally found it, and then I had a cover concept to go with it, I was like, no, that's what I'm doing. And that's it. And it represents what I want. So that was it. I wasn't going to change it. We talked and talked and talked, and there was no reason to talk. I didn't have any, I was willing to change some of the content to fit more what they wanted, but I wasn't willing to change the title. Because ultimately, I got to live with it. It's going to be my name on that thing forever.
Sure.
So that was why it happened. That I parted with them. So now I'm gonna put it out by myself.
So was it vetoed by committee, or was it just vetoed by one individual?
Committee. There was several meetings that I was a part of.
Okay.
And every time was, we have to work on this cover idea. We have to work on this title. From a marketing standpoint, this title's too long, or it doesn't work, and it's too dark, and it's too, you're going to scare people from buying the book instead of,
Scare people?
Debauchery is, for whatever reason, a bad word.
Is it?
Apparently.
I think it would be, kind of like, kind of how your eyes are attracted to porn.
Mm-hmm. It's like, I thought it was a good word. And I mean, the shit that I've done in the last year, and so does the radio audience for that matter. All the crazy dating bullshit and all the, drunken to excess partying and stuff that I've done in the last year, really, really hard partying. There was a lot of debauchery that happened. So I thought that it was, the right word. So, you know, I don't know. I was being too stubborn. There's definitely a selection of people that thinks I was way too stubborn on this, that I should have cashed the check and moved forward, but I can't do it.
How about Psycho Postman? Did you experience some debauchery?
It was a divorce.
Debauchery left me and took the kids too.
No, I kept the kids.
Well, they were old enough to be on their own anyway.
Right, exactly, but they're here.
Right.
But yeah, you know, so now the book is going to be basically self-published by me. I'm putting it out through Amazon initially, and then I've got an agent that's going to work it once it's out. But yeah, it's done. The cover shoot is tomorrow. Pre-orders are going to be December 1st, and it's going to come out January 13th.
All right. So we're basically just 2 months away.
Yeah, we're in the home stretch.
All right.
You know.
8 weeks from now, you could get your very own copy.
Yeah, signed by me, the great author.
Nice. Look at you.
That whole thing is goofy, man. The whole pre-orders, and you know, it's weird to consider yourself as a product. You know, it really is, because we just, you know, you and I just don't.
Right.
From the show, but you know, it's interesting. You know, a lot of people from the book company and from, you know, various people that have read it outside of the book company are all kind of in the same. I've heard the same comment over and over and over, which is, I would have never expected this kind of book from you.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people are surprised that I would write something that's pretty raw-ended and not, you know, punch you in the fucking face ish.
Sure.
So I mean, I don't even think I've shared any of it with you, have I?
Not really. Just the things that I may have read on your Facebook or whatever, you know, just some of that stuff. But as far as actual content, no. Yeah,
I'll have to send it to you. I mean, you'll obviously get a copy of it, but there is some CMS stuff in there. There's definitely some CMS stories that made it into the book, and you know, believe it or not, the stuff that I wrote about the CMS is not so much about the last year, as much as like you know, stuff from the old days.
Right.
You know, some stuff about Talking Metal, some stuff about the Rev, and probably probably going to surprise some people, the shit that I wrote about both. So, you know, I think it's good. I mean, of course I do. I wrote it, but who knows, man? I mean, it's going to do whatever it's going to do, and I hope some people read it and, you know, dig it. And if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. You know, whatever.
Well, you're going to be in the shoes of Metallica. People who know you or the people who are fans of the show, they're going to tell you it's the greatest thing you ever heard or read or you ever did, or, you know.
Yeah, well, I hope that's not the case. I mean, I would hope that people, especially the people that listen to the show, would get that that is not what I would want. I don't especially get off on people kissing my ass. I'd rather hear, you know what, this was good, but you could have done better with this, because I'm going to write more books.
Sure.
There's no question. There's no shortage of people that want me to write books for them now, you know, out there. You want me to write a book with you. Billy wants me to write a book with him. I've got another book that I've written and never put out, you know, that I need to tidy up and put out. And I've got another book on top of that of just all these CD reviews of the last 5 years that I want to put together and put out there too. So, you know, there's going to be more books. So I would much rather with the first one that people just read it and they say, all right, this was cool or this was not cool. You're a bitch.
Right.
Whatever.
Exactly.
You know,
well, speaking of people that we know who wrote books.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it or if you read it, or it was a sort of a kind of a silly book. It was just sort of like a, what's the word I'm looking for? The content of it was just kind of funny only because I'm a fan. But our friend Omam.
Oh, yeah, his Chicago book?
Yeah, his book, 30 Days in the Hole.
Yeah, I did. I read that. That was good.
That was funny. I mean, I enjoyed reading that. I mean, he just did a silly little experiment where he listened to every Chicago album and basically wrote a chapter on each album that he listened to.
Sure. No, that was a cool book. It was fun. It was short. It was what, about 100 pages?
Yeah, it wasn't real long. It was funny. It was just sort of a silly, off the cuff, just a quick, this is my snapshot view of what I think I just heard. 30 days in the Chicago experiment.
Right.
And,
that's cool.
And he just basically sat in his basement and listened to Chicago records for a month.
That's funny.
I just thought that was funny.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
So there you go. I mean, people got talent that you never know. And, who would have known? Oh, Mom wrote the book.
Well, I know. He wrote the book on Chicago.
Right. I wrote the book on Chicago. Shut up.
Well, dude, and what's interesting is, I mean, you may or may not know this, and I'm not really allowed to talk about it yet, but in addition to this book that I have coming out, I also was asked to contribute and did in another book that's coming out with one of our friends, so don't say who it is.
Right.
I think you do know.
Yeah.
But don't say who or what it's about. But, yeah, I'm also going to be published in that also in January. And that's on a much bigger level than what I'm doing. I mean, you know what that one's about, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a big time book. And they asked me to contribute a chapter. So I contributed a chapter to that book too. So a lot of writing all of a sudden coming out. Instead of my mouth running, it's been my fingers for a year.
Right.
So,
well, good. I'm looking forward to reading it.
Well, coming soon, man, and you'll obviously have you'll have a real copy.
A real copy.
Have a real copy, and for people that are wondering, if there's anybody that's wondering, it's going to be like a real book, not just a digital release. It's going to be a physical book that you can buy, and there's also going to be, I mean, we're going to do the digital thing too, and depending on how it does, and I haven't decided yet, just because I know it's a massive amount of work, and I don't know with the museum and everything else I got going on that I have time. But depending on how it does, I'm thinking probably middle of next year I'm going to put out an audio book of it as well. Do the reading and then offer like bonus commentary on each chapter or something. Because Lord knows I can talk.
Oh, so you're gonna be the guy actually doing the reading?
Yeah.
You're not gonna like go get like James Brolin or somebody like that,
please,
or William Shatner or.
Dude, I talk 6 hours a fucking week. I certainly think I could probably read my own work and put emotion in it. I definitely think I'm capable of doing that. And besides, when you listen to some of those audiobooks back, they sound like shit when the artist doesn't do it.
Yeah, I know.
Did you listen to the Sammy Hagar book?
Yeah.
That guy sounded terrible. He's like asleep at the wheel. Sammy's like, yes, and then I went to the beach, and it was hot, and there was a hot chick. Ooh, was she a piece of ass? It's like, Jesus. Wake up, you fucking dick.
Right. Maybe you could get Shadow Steel to do the read.
Yeah, exactly. Sammy Hagar was born in 1943 when he formed a band with Montrose.
Right. Montrose.
Psycho
Postman, Eric Braverman could do it in one breath.
Yeah, that's it. Now that would be a good one.
The real Jeff Tate could do the reading.
with elegance and sagacity.
Right. Exactly. Well, that sounds good.
Yeah, it is good, man. I'm excited to put it out.
Good. All right. Well, I tell you what, we got Rex Brown coming up here.
Pantera down, and then some big mans.
Right. Well, Kill Devil Hill is out with their second release, right?
Yes, their second release. It's called Revolution Rise. It features Rex and, of course, our buddy Vinny Appice.
Which we haven't had on the show forever since the Dio day.
We got to get with Vinny. Why has he not been on?
Well, because I haven't reached out to him.
Reach out to him.
Wouldn't
we
should.
rather talk to him than fucking Rex?
I will send him an email.
All right, let's get him on.
Say, Vinny, it's been a while. You need to come back on the show.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to get Rex Brown on the phone. The new one from Kill Devil Hill is called what?
Revolution Rise.
All right. And this one is called Long Way From Home.
This is actually a request, by the way, from
really?
Tony in Kansas City.
All right. Tony
he wanted to thank us for our Rock Harvest coverage.
Well, hey, nobody else is going to talk about it except maybe us or Stevie and the TV station that got involved.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll get to that too in a little while. Don't you think?
Sure.
But yeah, let's get Rex on the phone and let's go from there.
All right. Well, here it is. It's Kill Devil Hill, Long Way From Home, exclusively here
on your classic metal show.